I'm sorry. I meant to turn off the music. Hey, and thank you for listening. This is just my students have heard about it because, whoo, it's been tough. Okay, we are good. We are live. Let me turn this off. I may actually see if people are chatting on the chat. I never get anybody chatting on my live streams. Like 4 people watch it, but you never know. People may actually. And I was going to do one more thing. Oh, turn off the chingies. Oh, I guess no, it's doing it now. Let me turn off the chings. Record. That's what I was going to do. I'm also recording it. I know I promised you guys last time, but this time for real, it's going to happen. I'm going to try and cut short chunks of it just for your benefit so that, oh my gosh, Mija, Lizette, I'm going to make you a co-host so you can help me admit people because there's like a bunch of people coming in, okay?
Okay.
Holy cow, that's a lot. Ooh, yeah, popular men. Can I call you men? Popular poets.
Men. We're manly men.
You sure are, comrade. You sure are.
Fights.
And we're just waiting on Dr.
roaming around looking for fights.
I'm looking around for fights. Hey, just kidding, dog. Let me just turn off that meeting because I don't want it to come up on the live stream. We are joined by Dr. Wong, who is our new academic affairs vice president, who is phenomenal. Who, by the way, I'm going to forget because I'm having that kind of day, but may I just say that the administration was so supportive and phenomenal. They sent out numerous announcements to the students, to the community at large, and I don't know who it was. It might have been Bernadette. It may have been David Locke. Thank you for that amazing flyer that I did not create. It is beautiful. They put one of those little square doohickeys that I know nothing about. I felt so posh. I was like, so thank you. Lizette, who did that? Do you know?
Creo que fue Bernadette. No estoy segura. No sé exacta. I'm not sure who it was.
Bernadette will also get a copy of your books. I'll buy them for her. Where's the chingy thing is? Now it's driving me crazy. Oh my gosh, Bernadette, Mija, I'm sorry. Can you hear the chingies?
Yeah, but I'm...
so annoying. Hold on, I can find it. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, people on YouTube, if you're watching, I'm trying to turn it off. Okay. You know what? I was just there. I should have just done it when I had the chance. No, I don't want annotations. And now I can't find it. I can't find it, you guys. Oh, man. Sucks. Well, most speakers, that doesn't bother them, but it's bothering me. Here we go. Sound notification. Thank you. No, I'm not going to know. Whew. Thank you. That is so annoying. See, somebody left. I heard that.
They were here for the rings.
They're like, I can watch it on YouTube later. Bye. Well, welcome, everybody. My name is Dr. Jesus Estrada. I was just telling Matt, I was doing the math. I've been teaching for 22 and a half years, and I'm like, what? When did that happen? So this is actually my U.S. Latin American Lit class. This is a phenomenal class, both of them. Just amazing. Oh, I see some of my English 102 students joining. The event was advertised to the whole community, to the entire union. I advertised it to all kinds of professors that, welcome professors from women full of binders full of women of color and Latinas completing their doctorates, anybody who's here. And I believe Dr. Wong is going to introduce you today. Is that right?
I thought President Lopez would introduce.
Okay, well, if he does, then I can introduce my friends. And I also have to say, this is, I believe, the 4th time the Matt has come to Harold Washington College. Think of this as your home. Let me put the view to speaker view too, so it is speaker view. I couldn't be more honored to have Matt Sedillo here for the 4th time. And David, think of this as your home away from home. We are so privileged and grateful to have you here. I couldn't think of a more celebratory thing to do as the last day of class, because this has been such a rough semester. I was just telling them, Dr. Wong, that I've been teaching for 22 and a half years. This is the first time that I'm looking forward to the end of the semester. I'm like, oh my God, it couldn't come any sooner. Like, please end. It feels like years. So I don't see Dr. Lopez, and he's not usually late. Let me see if maybe he's chatting with me. Lisette, do you know Mija, where he's at?
I'm going to send him a text right now.
Oh, okay, you go ahead and do that. Oh, even better. Yes, so Dr. Lopez is also, he's not just an alumni of Harold Washington College, which if you don't know is in Chicago. He is a huge fan of you, Matt. When he heard you were coming, he got so excited. David, I know he'll be equally excited to get to know you. He loved your last performance. So please, another thing, we are all adults. There is going to be some adult language, which is very appropriate for the art form. Feel free to not censor yourselves ever. Okay? Yeah, he loved your work. Rosa, welcome. A lot of new faces. Wonderful. Apollo, welcome. You're going to love this.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Busayo, good to see you. Hamed, good to see you. Or is it Ahmed?
Yeah. Hello, madam.
Hello, hello. It's so good to see you. Welcome. Well,
Thank you.
I guess I'll introduce you, and I'm sorry I don't have your bios memorized, but let me just introduce them together collectively. I want to say, and I've said this to my classes, that they'll tell you the truth. I never lie, usually. No. That David Romero and Matt Sedillo are two of the best Latinx contemporary poets and performers. I've known Matt for a longer time. I've known David for a few months, but both are so phenomenally talented. And the issues they speak to are so critical to the day in our time to talk about issues of race and class, issues of history, issues of identity, and really a vision for a new world in some of these poems that are so moving. I've reviewed both of their books on Amazon and Goodreads. If you feel inclined to buy their books, please do so. Matt and David, can you say a little more about your books? And then I'll post the Amazon links. Matt, I don't know if you want to go first, or David, why don't you go ahead? Because you're new. Mije. Unmute yourself, son. You're muted. I know, right? The Zoom. You got to unmute, love. There you go.
Thank you so much for having us on. Yes, it would be my pleasure to speak on behalf of myself and my good friend Matt Sedillo here. All right, so we were both published. Well, Matt was published technically last year. I was published this year in June by Flower Song Press out of McAllen, Texas. A burgeoning, hot press. So hot right now. Flower Song Press, founded by David Boyles, run by Edward Vidoir. And the press was just featured in Poets and Writers magazine this year in the small presses section. Matt Sedillo, Gris Munoz, and myself set records for sales for the press this year.
And that is logical. The books are so beautifully done. I don't know this press, but they did beautiful work. I love it. I love it all.
Yeah, and in the future, the press will see the release of Matt's next book of poetry. That's right. He already has another instant classic in the chamber, ready to unload upon the world. So that's coming up.
My dear, I hate to cut you off, but the president's coming on. I'm sorry. So sorry. He's going to actually, that was beautiful pitch. Record sales for a reason. We are joined by our amazing Dr. Lopez, who is going to introduce you both. And wow, you guys like, dude, check it out, man. Popular. What? ¿Por qué te estás riendo? Did I say something funny on accident? Oh my God. You see how they are, Dr. Lopez. This is how it is. This is how it's going to be. Daniel, without further ado, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. As you know, I'm Daniel Lopez. I'm the president of Harold Washington College. I'm excited to be here today. Today, we have the honor of having not one, but two award-winning poets. Wow. And so they will be here for a special reading and discussion. I want to thank Professor Jesus Estrada for organizing this event and for bringing this opportunity to Harold Washington.
My pleasure as ever.
Thank you also to our special guests, David Romero and Matt Sedillo, for taking the time to be here virtually and for sharing your talent and your work. I heard that Matt has been to Harold Washington 3 times. Is that true, Matt?
Yeah, 3 times before.
That's great. So this year, David is coming for the first time, but he has spoken to many of our colleges and universities before. So thank you both for being here today. Let me introduce David and then Matt so we can get started here. So David is a Mexican-American spoken word artist from Diamond Bar, California. Hey, California.
Woo!
Romero is the author of My Name is Romero and founding member of Osamatli, Ulysses Bella. Romero has appeared at over 75 colleges and universities in over 30 different states in the US. Romero was the second poet to be featured on Old Def Digital. Romero has opened for Latin Grammy winning bands Osamatli and La Santa Cecilia. I love Santa Cecilia.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Sedillo. Matt has been nominated for a Pushcart Prize, which is tremendous honor. Born in El Sereno, California, another Californian. In '81, Matt Sedillo writes from the advantage point of a second-generation Chicano born in an era of diminishing opportunities and crumbling economy. His writings, a fearless, challenging, and at times even confrontational blend of humor, history, and political theory is a reflection of those realities. So without further ado, let me introduce both our special guests, Matt and David.
Beautiful as ever. I just wanted to remind people that we are live streaming through YouTube to my Radical Books and Politics channel because this is an extra credit opportunity for my students. And who wants to start?
So thank you, Dr. Lopez, for joining the stream and for introducing us. That's definitely an honor. It's an honor to be with all of you today. So once again, to talk about my book, My Name is Romero, published by Flower Song Press. I'm going to go ahead and kick things off, and then Matt is going to join us. Whoa, they're growing. Let's all put on V masks. No, so yeah. I'm going to go ahead and start this off by performing a poem that is one of Dr. Estrada's favorites from the collection.
Thank you.
This poem is called Poor, Poor Spaniard. As Mexicans cross the border and Mexicans hop the fence, as Mexicans line up at Home Depot and the news announces yet another Mexican arrest, you tell the world, chest out and proud, my family may have come from Mexico, but we are Spaniards. Poor, poor Spaniard. You wear your arrogance like steel-plated armor, drink from glasses with edges sharper than the ends of conquistador helmets. I pray as you sip, you do not cut your lips. You sit in air-conditioned living rooms. Imagine them as open-aired verandas. You like to show off how light your skin is. Blue and green eyes, you say, run in the family. The splash of color of dresses in a twirl, dancing only for the right occasion, and certainly not enough to sweat. Otherwise, they might think you were getting out of hand. They might think you were a Mexican. Poor, poor Spaniard. How dare you fling words like wetback, illegal? How dare you fill the word Mexican with spite? The ancestors you claim committed genocide. Poor, poor Spaniard. You weep for your lost land. Hold on to your claims. This charade has gone on long enough. Old and tired pieces of paper, there is as much to them as Don Quixote's daydreams, and the truth is a windmill sweeping down to knock you off your high horse. True, we Mexicans are not all descendants of Aztec princes and princesses, more of our ancestors buried beneath stone blocks than atop. But yes, the blood, it flows through veins. Eyes cannot be stopped from wandering. Indio, Maya, Yaqui, Mulatto, Aztec, Mexica, you see your own people and you say they should go back to Mexico. Poor, poor Spaniard. If you love Spain so much, why don't you go back there? And what will you find? Your sangre pura, but nearly 800 years of African, Arabic influence, language, architecture, science, Moorish lute-made Spanish guitar, rhythmic dances, and your beloved Spanish rights. From Egypt, Iraq, and Iran. Poor, poor American. Something lost, something imaginary is your only claim. Your allegiances shift with the flag of the day. The melting pot for you is good, only if you make sure you have erased the ingredients. You stay on your side of the fence. Now you answer. Did you come from Mexico? Did you come from Spain? Did you come from some white Eden in the Middle East or North Africa? Where did you come from to keep your blood so pure and your nose so high? Where did you come from to dare fill the word Mexican with spite? Show me on the map. Yes, that's right. Nowhere. You poor, poor nothing.
Damn, it's better the second time. I love it. I love it. All right, thank you. And that was nominated for a Pushcart Prize, which is such a huge honor. 2 Latinos nominated for. I wish you could both win.
Well, unfortunately, I will. It will be a great honor, but I will accept it.
Here we go. Here we go.
So this is the poem that will win the Pushcart Prize, and then after I'm done with this one, perhaps Matt will have contradictory thoughts and an.
Orale.
All right. So this poem is called Gorilla Arms. It's about a childhood memory with my father. So this is a twin poem that's about a young experience with a microaggression. And so racism from the outside, but this is a reflection of internalized racism.
Can you explain maybe for our viewers what a microaggression is real quick?
Yeah, sure. So a microaggression is an instance of racism that is not an outright slur or an outright attack or a confrontational situation, but a form of racism that is more subtle. So a lot of words, dog whistling, coded language, these types of things, suggestions. But, with microaggressions, and this is built into the structure of the poem itself, is that what a microaggression does, like many an insult, is that it makes us feel smaller. It diminishes our self-esteem.
Right.
So it also has an effect to trivialize a people and a people's accomplishments. So that's what this whole poem
beautifully
is about.
Explained. Thank you.
Gorilla Arms. It was Sunday morning. My father had just gotten off work. Overtime shift, family room, pink box of donuts. My father's blue work shirt that put them on the table. Exhausted, but happy. Spending time with the family, his arms on the table, muscular, sweaty, heavy, hairy arms. A bratty, snotty-nosed child, I looked across the table and I told him, "You look like a gorilla." It wasn't just the words, it was the cock of the head, the wrinkling of the nose, the arch of the eyebrow. It wasn't just the words, it was the sneer tucked inside of them. "You look like a gorilla." Who was this stranger who lived in my house, spent hours tinkering in the garage or lumbering out in the yard, yelled to rake up the leaves, pick up the dog poop, mow the lawn, left before I went to school, left in the middle of the night, oftentimes returned the same, always wearing that blue or orange uniform, always tired on those days, prone to anger, big, heavy, work boots clonking and clomping throughout the house. Sometimes he was covered in dirt, his hair uncombed and wild, work shirt unbuttoned, chest hair out, hairy arms like gorilla sleeves. Who was this stranger? He was my dad, my father. "You look like a gorilla." It wasn't just the words, it was the inflection. It was my reflection. It was the teachers, the guest lecturers, the people on television, the parents of my friends. No one had ever told me that I should want to be like my father, blue collar, work with your hands, muscular, sweaty, heavy, hairy arms. He used them to clean ditches, build pipe systems, to cut down trees, to clear fields and embankments every day for us. You look like a gorilla. There was hate there, disgust there, dehumanization, like how creationists can find nothing more filthy to say that humans are descended from monkeys, chimpanzees, like how racists call Mexicans cockroaches, cackle when they hear La Cucaracha. The Nazis called the Jews rats. Blacks were depicted for decades as more ape than Homo sapien. My brother commented on how they treated him at work. They treat me like their workhorse, a beast of burden. This was his first admission. This was racism. They treated him like a Mexican, and he hated it. My father was as stubborn as a bull, as strong as an ox, with muscular, sweaty, heavy, hairy arms, gorilla arms, the arms that built our house, the arms that hugged my mother, that carried me as a child. I looked at those arms that Sunday morning and told him, "You look like a gorilla." Everything stopped. Everyone was shocked. Soon there was shouting, screaming. I ran, crying, out of the house and into the backyard. "You look like a gorilla." I will regret saying that for the rest of my life. All right. So that's the Pushcart Prize winning poem, Gorilla Arms. You heard it here first.
Oh my God. I thought it was My Name is Romero.
Oh, no. It is Gorilla Arms from My Name is Romero, the book.
Oh, that actually makes more sense. I love your other poem. But
Nine copies for $20.
Yes.
DavidARomero.com.
Oh, could you put that in the chat?
Yeah. So it is my pleasure to introduce my esteemed colleague. You've seen him before many times. And you love to see him again. Give it up for Matt Sedillo.
All right. So before I get started, I want to ask you a couple questions here about David, about these poems you read for us. So in both these we see like kind of we see that there's kind of an aspirational spirit, right? That you're kind of lampooning in the first one, and it's rooted in something that's deeper and uglier than just like somebody wanting to live in a bigger house or better, or the better school district or something like that. But in the second one, you kind of make reference to kind of the consequences of that aspirational spirit. I mean, like you end up, when you try to provide a quote unquote provide a better life for your children, oftentimes, you raise your children in an environment where they don't really see sacrifice. They simply see that your parents are different than their friends' parents, right? So the fruit of all of this is a kind of contempt of their children. Can you speak a little to that? I mean, the combination of these two poems.
Okay, so an aspirational spirit. So I think there is so in combining the two poems, I think a lot of it is transcending the intergenerational trauma and navigating certain identity crises within Latinx identity, specifically Mexican American identity. We're both Mexican American. So yeah, the first one speaks to ideas of identity, and that we're dealing with the history of Spanish colonization as a people. And that you have people, and so one of the lasting effects of Spanish colonization has been the demonization of indigenous peoples in order to justify the genocide and the conquest and the theft of land, lives, freedom, resources, and what have you of the indigenous peoples of the entire Western Hemisphere. Much of what was colonized by once part of the Spanish Empire. The Spaniards had to carry out an ideological campaign against these indigenous peoples and convince themselves as well as anyone else that these were inferior peoples, that these were peoples that had a destiny to be enslaved, because they were non-Christian, non-Catholic, whatever, that they were lesser than. And along with that also came the demonization of indigenous features. So dark skin, dark eyes, dark hair, certain facial structures and what have you, whereas more white features were promoted. So that in Poor Poor Spaniard, the idea of light and green eyes run in the family. So this becomes a certain point of pride for certain families, is this idea of looking more European or more Spaniard or more Northern European even. So that poem is built upon that. And it is always funny is that I have run into so many people where it's clear, and really, really clear that, you're Mexican, and I go through that with the poem is just we're talking about a span of hundreds of years. And now, as we know, as a lot of people are getting DNA tested, which is an inexact science, but it is a ballpark science. So it is accurate enough. And within that, a lot of people are finding out that they are not what they thought they were. And what happens to a lot of those people who would like to perch themselves on pedestals of their Spanish ancestry. And, having a lot of Spanish ancestry does grant one a lot of benefits. I found that in, genealogical research is that, if you historically belong to a more privileged class, or your ancestors did, you are more likely to have genealogical records. Much like those people, English descended people who are descended from George Washington or something.
Or the Mayflower.
Yeah, that's an extreme example, but unfortunately, peoples with more purely indigenous ancestry, because of this legacy of colonization and this brutal repression, and also, I mean, from the communities that are more, even more isolated, is that they do not always have records. It was more built on oral tradition. Yep. So a lot of that past is lost. But yeah, and then the second poem is, it's kind of the contemplation of, I think, as Mexican Americans, we're often stuck in this purgatory, right? Of like, we want the right to be lazy, or we want the right to be whatever we want to be. The spectrum of identities. We want the right to be known for being doctors, for being lawyers, for being politicians, for being entrepreneurs, right? But in America, we have the stereotype built in of being second-class citizens within a country that some of our ancestors lived in and settled in and are indigenous to, right? So we have this stereotype built in of perpetually being workers, being domestics, being gardeners, landscapers and what have you. So it was reflecting on my father. And there within my family line, there's a long history of fence builders, asphalt pavers, service workers and what have you, right? So it's reflecting in that in some ways. It's a source of pride, right? To know that your ancestors have been so hardworking, that you belong to a people that don't have quit in them, that, we keep working, we have that hustle, we have that drive. But at the same time, reflecting upon that of like, am I betraying that legacy to then want to go and do something else? And how do I do something else that honors the legacy of what has come before, the sacrifices, the hard work of what has come before, without, turning my back on it? And I think as a youngster, I thought it was an either or scenario, that I had to hate that or fear falling into that in order to, want to be a writer or, whatever it might be. So I think that poem was my way of reconciling that. But I keep returning to that theme again and again.
That's really amazing, David. I carried that same guilt for a long time. Plus I moved away from Arizona. You guys are still in Califas, and I never bought my parents a house, I promised, because it was economically impossible, But I really appreciate you saying that. Is it okay if students ask questions in between your performances? Is that?
Nope.
No. Okay.
We'll be allowed to ask questions afterwards, and this is like a show. So.
Okay. I should have asked. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Damn, that was firm, Matt. So no questions until they're done.
Until we're done.
Okay. Perfect. Let's do it.
I'm a song and dance man. I mean, this is all carefully curated. I mean, I'm an artist. I'm a great artist, but I'm also a song and dance man.
Okay, great artist. Let's hear it.
Who knows, man? I mean, who really fucking knows where it all began, where time goes, where the money went, how the shit gets made, who runs the board, who calls shots, and who gets played? See, I'm Mexican American, Chicano, U.S. born and raised. You know what happens next? Dirty, lazy, stupid, beaner, wetback. Speaking of story begins, tell us both. Once upon a go back to Mexico. Once about 5 or 6. Sometimes these things happen a little sooner than expected. Sorry, kid. That's the way it is. Mm-hmm. Seems like you're gonna have to make a decision. Think quick, don't flinch, thumbs out, clench fist now, forever. Hold your tongue. See, I was born in 81, which makes me young Gen X or old millennial. Shit, I don't know. Sometimes seems like my birthright is more questions than answers. What I do know is this. Something terrible happened around 489 years before I was born in my life, which hasn't been the same since. See, what you call microaggressions, I call mini conquest. By the water cooler, see them sailing in my mind, just like Hernan Cortez, John Smith, chest plates and muskets, shoe buckles and loaded questions, office eugenics, pointed statements like, when Polk took Mexico City, you should take the whole thing, or all illegals are diseased, you were born here, so why are you offended? If I act like I did when I was the kid, shit, you already know what would happen. But I never wanted to repent or confess because I was not born to be forgiven. Not here, not now, not by them. I saw a man run for president. I said I saw a man run for president. Her rainbow coalition of friends debate whether calling Mexicans drug dealers and rapists was racist or populist, then demand discussion or reflection, some nuance. Why couldn't I feel the pain that people felt nothing but hate for mine? And all I could do was reflect upon my life and ask myself why. Because sometimes it seems like the more I think, the less I know. And the more I speak, the worse it gets. Even ready to fight. We don't know what the hell we're talking about. Our mouths running, muttering. Something about a nation of immigrants, always trying to make sense of our lives using images not our own. Some secondhand bootleg history written for us to serve them, because the real power lies not in the pursuit of the answer, but in the posing of the question. Sometimes seems like someone's always trying to convince me of something. Like the things they don't want to see. Like they're manipulating reality. Some nights I drive the city, I see nothing but brown faces. Go back inside, turn on television. I don't seem to go out again. It's like we're here, but we're not. Like they want to blame us and allow a response. Like no part of this culture is ours. Like perpetually foreign, like an apartheid state of mind where they capture the imagination to prevent the future from being born. It's like the Mexican-American War never ended. Every billboard in the city of Los Angeles screaming out some white savior shrouded independence or revolt, but everybody knows. Everybody knows Jesus and Joker, and both of them are Mexican. Everybody knows how the story ends. America, what do you get? What do you get when you steal half a nation and then press its descendants? I'll tell you what you get. You get what you fucking deserve. A stage full of abuelas with his grandkids in Spanish with a watchful eye walk them up the Virgin and Jesus. Make a village out of a duplex, raised Catholic, but the roots are indigenous. 7 generations of family extension all growing one plot. Hand-me-downs from shared rules, rooms, and reflections. In la quech, porque mi casa es tu casa, and promises to family living. That's palabra. Light a candle. Burn some sage, pick your saints, set your altar, the sign of the cross. The sound of the conch and prayers lift the 4 directions. That's culture, not contradiction. Folks in the back, they fight for living. 515 hail from the rowdy section, Dodger Stadium, but the hearts still burn with the fire from that Chavez ravine, and here is home of La Reina. At 54 cents a dollar, America's most exploited worker. Neglected, disrespected, underrepresented, presumed incompetent. If she lives life as expected, she be labeled statistic. If she managed to outpace them, threaten, they will blame affirmative action, but either way, they will not see her. They will demand her labor, paid and unpaid, smiling, her eyes humble, her mouth silent. Lay the river. Cities past, present, and future. Queen of angels. Invisible to those who float. Through canyons, lagoons, and cemeteries, whitewashing adobe through a series of fevered dreams connected by a bridge called her back to those who make demands. The stories told to bury the past, the ones that serve to remind her that she works for them, that she is lucky to even have a job here in El Pueblo. La Señora, la Reina de Sangre del Rio por 5 hours, they're called La La Land, 78 with the Pueblo. 18 nights of brickyards, Montebello built one again, only beaten and shot, only for no Mexicans, no dogs, only for the rules, for the schools, only written out of the history of a city. We founders, we are priced out of the homes of our mothers, yet more and more of Los Angeles suddenly discovered this is a struggle of our forebears. Un para pan, historia, eternos, victoria, siempre the struggle is real. La lucha sigue, la reina de Los Angeles, the front lines of every fight, holding it down, holding the better half of the sky, fighting education, fighting for education, fighting for tenants' rights, fighting la migra, la jura, because fuck the police, chill ice, fighting for dignity, hers and ours, all the damn time, proud and brown and brown and proud of the hearts and hands, the backbone of these racists. We throw 2 fingers up when we say fuck Donald Trump. That's not identity politics, that's a cry of the proletariat at 54 cents on the dollar. She is the face of it. So when you see her pushing some other mud strollers locked behind cash, register a 3rd, 4th, 5th, shift to the oppressed, show some respect, bow your head, bend the knee, all hail la reina, the once and future queen.
Woo! Damn. That's beautiful.
All right, Matt. So you just performed La Reina and Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Go Back to Mexico. First, Once Upon, and then La Reina, actually, was the order. Both poems relating to Mexican-American identity and addressing the current moment as a byproduct of a history of conquest and colonization, a variety of factors. Now, I also noticed that both poems have interjecting voices of skeptics, of doubters, of haters, if you will, of people interjecting a kind of push towards mainstream politics or a push towards silencing your voice. There's addressing in Once Upon a Go Back to Mexico, there's a refrain from voices calling to, oh, which one is this one? Is it this is the one, the Trump one, right? Or no? Yes, we all have a Trump one. No, yeah, Rainbow Coalition of Friends. So in that one, it's Rainbow Coalition of Friends. And then the other one, it's identity politics. You have the line, that's not identity politics. So if you could speak to these haters and their interjections and what it is, what exactly this phenomenon is that's occurring in your debates, in your conversations with people.
Well, okay. So first of all, I mean, I think that like the poems. Yeah, you're right. They're kind of they're set against the backdrop of historic struggle, but they're also deeply rooted in Los Angeles, right? So they're very much like these very LA kind of poems written in this time period. And what most people don't know about Los Angeles is that Los Angeles is like, Los Angeles surrounding area is like 50% raza. I mean, nobody knows that. Nobody outside of LA knows that. You would only know that if you lived in LA or in the San Gabriel Valley or in, or maybe parts of the West Side or Orange County, something like that. You would know that if you lived, within like 30, 40 miles of LA, you would know that. But you don't know that if you live in Minneapolis. You don't know that if you live in Toledo. You probably don't even know that you live in Chicago, because this information is buried. The fact of the matter is they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that, essentially half of Los Angeles, are brown people with Spanish surnames. They don't want you to know that. And the reason they don't want you to know that is because they don't want to deal with the general implications of what that means. They don't want you to know that the largest group of people living in California are Latinos. They don't want you to know what these demographic shifts mean and where they're taking place. Because Los Angeles is the country's second biggest city. This is not somewhere happening in some like obscure part of the country, or isn't it interesting? Isn't it an interesting phenomenon? No, this is happening in the country's second biggest city, and they're happening in the biggest state in the union. So this demographic shift is a huge thing. Now, what is lost upon the so-called intelligentsia, who are purposely burying this analysis and these facts, is not lost on the right wing or right wing politicians. So you look at Donald Trump, as the whole phenomenon of Donald Trump was initially to say that essentially there's too many Mexicans coming into the United States, and it was the first big thing he did, and therefore it's no longer the United States, right? So this was, the whole thing about Mexico pay, we'll build a wall. If you look at the entirety of what he was saying, it wasn't just about immigration. It was about the idea that there's too many Mexicans living in America and it's no longer America. Now those politics go back to the 1800s. I mean, the idea of like maintaining how many Mexicans are in the United States and it being like, still the United States. You could look at like something like the Bracero program overlapping with Operation Wetback, for instance, right? So this idea of like controlling just how many there are. So get that labor and get rid of the people has been one of the main thorough lines of American history, and certainly the development of the Southwest. Mm-hmm. Nobody says that, or hardly anybody says that, despite the immensity of its truth. And so this poem, both these poems are written against the idea that what we're looking at, which are like foundational American politics, foundational politics to the United States of America, as being some type of side topics, being some kind of adjunct, being something that also kind of happens, or something that whatever, is what both these poems are written against. And both of them, almost the entirety of what I do these days is written against. And so whether it be, my poetry or some of this whole book, essentially, this whole book, Mowing Leaves of Grass, is about, about changing demographics. And it's about knocking over the canon that precedes it. It's about just completely disrupting all that. That's what this entire book is written about. And, whether or not this little humble book can do that, that's an open question. But, but the fact of the matter, that is the goals. Those are the aims. And so both these poems are written with that context and an attempt to struggle against it. So when you mention the haters, it's not just that they're haters, it's that they're really trying to suppress a question from even being asked. Mm-hmm. And so that is what both Lorena and Once Upon a Go Back to Mexico have in common.
Matt. I'm going to go ahead and read another poem from my book. It's phenomenal. You had unleashed the Donald Trump card, but I'm not going to play that one yet because I think we got to go off with some fireworks for our audience here. You
how much time? Before we go further, how much time do we have?
You have until 1:50, so maybe give about, I would say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes for questions, because I know the students.
Yeah. We'll do that. So let's just plan now. Romero, let's do one more round, and then we'll open to questions for the floor. Sound good?
All right, that sounds good. That sounds good. All right. One more round. Boy, I gotta pick my my poems carefully here then. Oh, all right. How do you make me more Mexican? I haven't done this one in a while. It's the poem about how I don't speak Spanish and I'm very insecure about that. Hola, ¿cómo está? Me llamo David. Yo no hablo español. Un poquito. I will go as paranoid as any gringo or gabacho over Spanish spoken. The Spanish I can't understand. Escúchala y comprende. Es la palabra, verdad. This poet spits in Spanish to cover up the fact that he doesn't have anything interesting to say in any language. Es la palabra, verdad. Es la lengua del pueblo. Es la lengua de la mexica. Hold your tongue. Do not criticize me for speaking English when you too so proudly speak the language of your European rapists, murderers, and conquerors, Spanish. Now tell me who's brainwashed, whitewashed. No hablo español. Fuck off. Come back to me when your tongue can hold words in the ancient language of the Mexica Nahua. Oh shit, this poet does fit in Nahua. Now what? Keeping it realer than real, more authentic than authentic. Looks like we're at a Mexican standoff. Well, there may be 50 ways of saying snow in Inuit, but all of them describe the same substance, meaning. There are truths that can be described in any language. Make me more Mexican. A simple statement, a declaration, a cry for help. I heard they were performing the procedure somewhere in a dilapidated warehouse in Tijuana. It involves infusions of chile, gargling mole, consuming infused chiclets, classes on how to sell oranges, be priests, architects and presidents, cops and convicts, sinners and saints. It involves baptisms in dirty sinks filled with salvation and jarritos, splashes of tapatio, baptizing your tongue, parla lengua to spit fiery words. Puto, puta, chingon, chinga madre. These words are whole and holy, spoken in backdoors and barbecues, weddings and quinceañeras. Yo no hablo español. Un poquito. Make me more Mexican, indigenous, and genuine. Halo my head in smoke trails of sage. Take me to sit at the foot of the pyramids, so that these visions of me as sore-thumbed, bare-skinned, sunburnt Indian praying to the four winds won't seem so shallow and ridiculous. Yo, no, I dedicate this to the temple of football with an entrance shaped like a goal. Post, Raiders and Dodgers jerseys, solos and chalitas, rebels and rockers, borders and bullets, Spanish and resistance. This is what makes a Mexican. And this is what doesn't. Stereotype and reality, truth and contradiction, sound and fury, and quiet moments. This is what makes a Mexican. Like speaking Spanish, I will learn to make myself more Mexican. What do I want to have an identity? What do I want to feel accepted? Cuando, ahora, donde, aquí, right here, and right now. All right. So there's that one. And now the trump card, as promised. I wouldn't want to leave any audience members, wondering what it was. So yes, this last poem is Open Letter to Donald Trump. Dear Donald Trump, in 2015, you announced your candidacy for President of the United States. In front of American flags, podium bearing your name, a platform of hate. Talked about making America great for who? It wasn't for us, Latinx America. You called us criminals, drug dealers, and rapists, a nameless wave of people coming from Mexico and South America. Donald Trump, do you know anything? Heard of Central America? Thought to throw in a statistic. Like 7% of immigrants come to America from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, with saying the places we come from, the most basic of differences, have alienated your supporters? Yes, the suburban racists, the hardcore hicks, to them it's too much to say Latinx, Hispanic, or indigenous. To them, we're all Mexicans or we're all Spics. Donald Trump, you call us criminals. Maybe you forgot how the United States stole half of Mexico, how NAFTA stole much of what was left. Maybe you forgot about the theft of the lives of Torrijos, Allende, and our Benz. Maybe you forgot about the bombing of Panama and United Fruit Company. You call us drug dealers, Trump. Maybe you forgot about Oliver North and his testimony about Iran-Contra, forgot about the CIA's dealings in Nicaragua, about how they used Freeway Rick Ross to flood crack cocaine into the ghetto. You call us rapists, Trump. Are you speaking for the women of Juarez, for the victims of American sex tourism? Do you deny that when she dared to question you, you said that Megyn Kelly must have been bleeding out of her you-know-what? Do you deny that you frequently made comments about wanting to have sex with your own daughter? Do you deny that you continually call women, all women, and not just Rosie O'Donnell, pigs? Some say you're a joke, Trump, but when you use a platform of hate to become the president of the United States, I'm not laughing, because you've made it clear that there is a seething mass in the heart of this country that is deeply racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, queerphobic, misogynist. You're no sideshow, Trump. You're the main stage, the old racism, the mean racism back in town. We need to fight you now, or we may never get another chance. Some say you're a joke, Trump, but when you use a platform of hate to become the president of the United States, I'm not laughing, because I know that when you say that we are criminals, drug dealers, and rapists, you mean business. and so do I. Donald Trump, you are fired. Donald Trump, you should have stayed bankrupt. Should have had your tie stapled to the sewing machines in the sweatshop factories you produce your clothes in. Should have had your casinos and towers collapse on top of your head. You should have suffered a stroke in your tanning bed and let the ultraviolet light slowly work its magic. You should have had your hair caught in a freak accident and been swung around by it like a troll doll. You would have wished for anything, Trump, because Latinx America is the future America. People of color America is the future America. And we don't take kindly to being called criminals, drug dealers, or rapists. We're the best of the best. The majority shareholders in 2044 or earlier. Donald Trump, you had better hope it isn't a hostile takeover.
Love it.
All right. So one quick question, David. When did you write Make Me More Mexican?
I wrote Make Me More Mexican by far is the older of the two. That was one of the first poems written for the collection. So that was probably written, at least 5 years ago, if not longer.
So 5 years ago. How's your Spanish?
How is my
My turn.
Well, you see why that last line is so great is because it's a false promise. It's the pacing. It's so clever because it says, I will learn. So like, oh, great. This guy, he's admitting, he's coming around full circle. He said all this stuff about Spanish, so we hate him. But, he says he's going to learn. So we kind of like him now. But I said, I will learn to make myself more Mexican. So, I can't really apologize for what your
very
ears
long-winded,
mishear.
man. This is very
I can't apologize for what your ears mishear. Well, you're asking me a question. I bet there are more. Do you know how to change a tire, Matt?
Hey, you're eating my time. You're eating my time. All right, here we go.
I bet there are a number of things that you don't know.
Draw a map.
Change a tire.
Draw a map, line the sand, carve the desert, act on land, amend it, eminent domain, indefinite detention, private prisons, public referendum, gentrification, naturalization, forced sterilization, Americanization, make America great again, Mexico pay. Hunt for Murrieta, the hunt for Pancho Villa. John Pershing's slaughter of the innocents, a severed head touring California museums becomes Zorro, becomes the Wild Bunch, becomes whitewashed, this American life experience, its imagination. If you can dream it, you can see it. If you can see it, you can build it. If you can build it, then you can take it. And if they resist, manifest a cruelty so complete that for generations they will do it to themselves. Build a city, draw its borders, patrol its districts, add silence to injury, insult without memory, protect these borders from language and culture, taco trucks, and Dora the Explorer. The country is changing, you know it. It's simple mathematics, and you know it. You have kept us weak by keeping us confused. Your grandchildren will speak Spanglish in the neighborhood you grew up in, greeting their friends on the corner of your childhood and cherished memories. Under lamplight and faded mist, the historic site of your first kiss, where you learned to sink before you learned to swim, where you and she carved your names to trees and promised each other forever, but memories fade. Neighborhoods change, and your names will be carved over. And there is nothing you can do about it. And you know this too. So when Donald Trump says drug dealers and rapists, and Kelly Osbourne jumps in to correct him, no, Donald, those people are just here to clean our shit. When you sit so comfortably, speak so freely about a group of people who are somehow everywhere, yet at the same time, no one. Hold your tongue. We are far closer than you know.
Love it.
Custers and Confederates.
Thank you.
Crusaders and little Davy Crockett's pick up their politics in the Alamos gift shop. Sunday nights at Columbus and Monday morning lynch mobs. Not all Nazis hit the street. Not all Klan wash their own sheets. The keyboard cavalry sit comfortably behind, how's that racist? Let's try to stay objective. And the white to free speech. Fuck your words. Fuck your hat. Fuck your leader. Fuck his tan. Fuck a wall. Fuck a band. Fuck your law. Fuck your order. Fuck your Walls, fuck your boys, fuck you, Chachi, and fuck Ann Coulter. Taco trucks every corner. Fuck some nuance. I speak plain. Fuck America. It was never great. Fuck Hulk Hogan and fuck John Wayne. Fuck Latinos for Trump. Gusanos, Cristeros, Vendidos. You look at the mirror. You got some shit confused. Instead, build a wall where they meant your ass too. So fuck little Marco-y. Chingala Ted Cruz. Fuck Paul Ryan. Fuck Mike Pence. Fuck Mad Dog. War is not defense. Fuck Betsy. Fuck Perry. Fuck Lon. Fuck Rudy. Fuck Ivanka. Fuck Melania. Fuck Eric. Fuck Jared. Fuck Dine Jr. Fuck the Mercers. Fuck Huckabee Sanders. Fuck Miller. Fuck Spencer. Fuck Spicer. Fuck Chris Kovac. Fuck Colonel Savage. And fuck Luke Dobbs. And fuck Steve Bannon. Fuck Rex Tillerson. Fuck Jeff Sessions. And fuck you, Ben Carson. You know damn well those are slave ships. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck his whole crew. And if you're down with Donald Trump, well then, fuck you too, little fucking custers.
Ah, damn, you made my day, Matt. You know I love that piece. Love it.
So now, Jesus, back to you and to questions and everything.
Yes, so you actually answered quite a lot of them, you know, within the poetry and the performance. I'm going to open up to the students. You can ask questions. You got a lot of accolades in the chat, my friend. Snap, snap, lots of laughing, lots of clapping. Take this opportunity. You know, at some point, maybe you could write about the process that you have for the poetry, which I told them you were going to do, but that would be brilliant. But students and guests or anybody else, do you have questions for Matt and David or any comments? Apollo, would you like to ask a question?
No, but thank you. This is awesome. This is great to listen to.
Thank you, A+ student. Anybody else? Anybody else?
I have a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica.
Hi. Hi, I'm Monica. I have a question for both of you guys. What is your process when you guys are beginning to write a new poem?
You forgot to, Monica is also a performance and was on a slam team in high school.
Oh,
So
awesome.
Forgot
awesome.
to say that.
Hell yeah.
You want to go first, David, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. So
Yeah, my
so,
answer's
yeah.
gonna be so much better.
Yeah. Here,
He's not denying it.
I'm the best. Here, that's what I say.
Well, you guys had a bet going on? What?
so my process, you know, I mean, just imagine me doing shows by myself. There's no one around to, you know, chop my chaps, you know, and keep me going.
So this is the first time you guys are performing together.
No.
Oh!
No.
Oh well, never mind, class.
No, we've taken this show on the road many a time.
Okay, beautiful.
In ye olden days, pre-COVID. So anyways, yeah. So my process, it varies from poem to poem. Some poems are stories that I've carried around with me for years. Some poems are based upon dreams that I had. For example, "Make Me More Mexican" was kind of inspired by looking at some photographs as well as some dreams that I had one night, and then it was inspired by another poem. So, you know, it really varies. But for the most part, well, I would also say too, is that some poems, you've probably had this experience too, like a few hot lines come to you in a moment. So you keep repeating those lines to yourself. You're like, oh wow, those are really good. like for example, these ones the other day, for this one poem that I wrote about heartbreak. The lines came to me in the shower. I was on a family vacation. Like, secret beaches tend not to live up to their name, though they often mean a lot to those who name them secret. Wow. It was like, you know, that whole thing of like divine, you know, so a lot of stuff comes to you like that, like that divine muse almost. But then the real trick, and you know, this is really what Matt excels at, is the real trick to it is having the discipline to sit down and commit oneself to writing, and not only then to writing, but also to editing, to making what you have written better. And that's something I think that really differentiates lucky writing from great writing, from consistent writing. That's really the trick, is getting oneself into a schedule of committing to writing regularly, and then not just putting out everything that you've ever written out there. That's definitely been a temptation of mine over the years. And really, you find that a lot of what you've written, a lot of what anyone writes is garbage. So it's figuring out, it's sifting through like, okay, now this is a little lazy here, you know, maybe this could use some tightening up. So yeah, I would say that definitely encapsulates a lot of the process.
All right, so the way I do it is that I actually have a pretty solid formatting for when I get ready to do something. And I break it down into basically what I call the 3-act poem, right? So in the beginning, so things are only happy, right? Because there was a possibility they'd be sad. And things are only sad because there was that moment of hope. So there's a lot of contrast. So in the beginning, you're gonna open up with certain things. The middle is gonna be something else, and the end is gonna be like, oh my God, but it's gonna return to something that happened either near the end of the beginning or the beginning of the middle, right? So for instance, you got the poem La Reina. The poem ends, all hail La Reina, the once and future queen. Well, La Reina reappears because earlier La Reina is introduced, and here is home of La Reina at 54 cents a dollar, America's most exploited worker. So she's introduced to you in a moment of doubt and uncertainty, and she returns as this, you know, the towering figure that's going to liberate us all, right? So then another poem I have is called Pilgrim, and it says, like, talks about like going to school and being like, you know, and I was just raised like you, miseducated in those very same schools, off lessons and legends of honest Indians and Christian pilgrims and a nation of immigrants, all united in freedom that isn't to the full by my white friend pointing directly at me. And so I started talking about like my experience, right? By the end of the poem, it's like, you know, like all the way down to Donald fucking Trump, we didn't cross the borders crossed us, who you calling immigrant, pilgrim, right? So Pilgrim returns, but Pilgrim returns as like, now it's like, I have contempt for you, like you have contempt for me, I have contempt for you. So it starts off as confusion, and then it ends with like having learned something new.
Managed participants, same thing.
Hold on, I'm mute this person out. I apologize.
Having learned something new along the way, and then being able to fight, right? So that's how Pilgrim works. But in the introduction, so La Reina, so this is the format, right? Process. On one side, topic, details, points. Over here, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. This is what you're talking about. This is how you're going to talk about it. This is the subtext or whatever. This is the order. This is the content. This is the form. There's so many different ways of saying this, but essentially what you're looking at is, this is what you're talking about. This is how you're going to talk about it. So you pick your topic. You pick the details. The details are the bricks you're going to build your house with. What's your point? What are you trying to get across, right? What are you trying to get across about this topic? Now, after that, you order your details in the best way to make your point, right? So in La Reina, at the beginning, we have the pride, right? Los Angeles full of abuelas who raise grandkids in Spanish, and the watchful eye walk them with the Virgin Jesus. In the middle, we have the pain. You know, and here is La Reina at 54 cents on the dollar, America's most exploited worker. At the end, we have the triumph. All hail La Reina, the once and future queen, right? And so in that one, you have in the beginning, you have the celebration of culture. Then you have like the pain of the economic situation, the pain of the historic situation, the pain of the oppressive situation. At the end, you overcome that with what you introduced in the very beginning. We will win because we are beautiful and wonderful, as I told you in the very beginning, right? So that's how La Reina works. So all these poems have all kinds of mechanics. There's all kinds of different things in there, which is why I'm great, which is why I'll be studied for centuries, you know, which is why I'm called the best political poet in America.
I believe so.
I'm messing around. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not.
Matt, I gotta tell you, comrade, that I'm gonna start crying because it's been that kind of emo week. Sorry, it's been a tough week. Yeah. But this philosophy helped me write one of the best essays I've ever published. I published it in a book recently. I sent the book to my mentor. It had such a huge impact. I love how you have such an empowered voice and fuck what anybody else says or thinks. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So what I think that everybody needs to do is like, you know, like, so within you, right, there's a world that exists outside of you. Then within you, you have your own unique response to it, right? And what you need to do when you develop your work is become a student of your own mind. Like, become a student of your own work. Understand why it is that you make the choices you make in your own writing, right? And then hone them, develop them, you know, polish that stone, right? But something that is so uniquely you, right? Become the leading expert on yourself. Because what you need to do as a writer is develop a style, turn that style into discipline, and then turn that discipline into a standard of excellence that you hold yourself to every time. And in that way, you know why you're excellent. In fact, you are the world's leading expert
That's right.
as to your excellence. So no one can ever discredit you. No one can build you up and no one can tear you down because you know better than anyone as to why you are excellent. You weren't trying to be a second-rate version of some standard bearer. You weren't trying to be a second-hand version of Luis Rodriguez. You weren't trying to be a second-hand version of Sandra Cisneros. You weren't trying to be a second-hand version of anyone you look up to. And I admire these people. I mean, you weren't trying to be a second-hand version of Urea or whoever. You're not trying to be a second-hand version of Gloria Anzaldúa. You're trying to be you. You are being you. And you are being you in your most excellent precision. And in that way, no one can ever build you up and no one can tear you down.
I love it.
You know exactly why you're excellent.
I love it. And this is so perfect for our students who are learning to come into their voice and be self-assured. I love it. You got to write the book. I know I keep telling you that. And some people have come in very late because of meetings, but I know you said time was up. Can you maybe
let me just say this one thing though about this, right?
Oh,
I'm telling you this, right? And in the writing of this book, the reviews have been coming off this book. And in the process of that, because I've pursued my own individual excellence, I am now being compared to people like Mary Baraka. I'm being compared to Roque Dalton. I'm being compared to Brecht, right? And these are reviews that are published in papers that people read, right? So I mean, it's people saying things. This is happening. So like, so it's and if it's in print, it's true, I guess. I don't know. But like,
you mean it wasn't your cousin who told you were brilliant?
What's that?
You mean it wasn't your cousin?
My cousins hate my work.
That's what they should.
Wait. Here's the one thing I will say though. I know we're running out of time, and I really want to say this.
No, you're good.
I really want to say this. When people tell me things like, well, I got all these doubts because my parents always told me I couldn't be this, or someone told me this, I couldn't be that, or someone very close and dear to me told me I couldn't, be a writer, right? And I say, well, lucky you that your mother is a Pulitzer Prize winner. Lucky you that your father is this award-winning playwright. Oh, wait, they're not? Who gives a fuck what they say? What the hell do they know about it? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Get real.
No, dude, that's the truth. My parents would mock me because I would write and say, well, you're wasting your time. What are you reading books for? And you know who taught me to love poetry was my dad, because he would make fun of us via verse, So anyway, hey, some people are coming late and they've been looking forward to this. Could you read Pedagogy of the Oppressor and David, if you could do a short one too. We got time. We have until 1:50.
Okay. But I just want to say, by the way, my mom was very supportive, and my dad is supportive now that I'm doing well. That's my son. All right, here we go. So my mom's always been really supportive. So that's not the problem. I'm just saying, like, if you have like somebody near you that's like a hater, that's near you, and you're like, and they're an influential person in your life, and they've been hating on you, what do they know about it? And haters are people that don't pursue their own dreams anyways. And that's what a hater is. It's somebody that doesn't pursue their own dreams, and they're all scared, and and so they reflect their cowardice onto you, and they're just getting their cowardice all over your shoes. Just kick them to the curb. All right, here we go. Pedagogy of the Oppressor. And when they read in conquest, and when they thought of process, and when they wrote again and again, it was the word progress. And when they spoke, a festival of bayonets impaled the audience. Line the children. It's getting late November. Teach them Pilgrim. Teach them Indian. Speak of gratitude. Speak of friendship.
Love it. We actually read a lot of your work out loud in my class. And the reason I asked you to read that is because I wasn't sure how to read it, but that's not how I read it though, but that's wonderful. David, do you want to share part of one or?
Yeah, I'm okay.
It's been a while since I reviewed the collection.
You're looking for a particularly short poem.
Well, or a section of one. Your poems tend to be long. That's why I was like, how about Grandfather Tells Time?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Wow, we're on the same wavelength.
That's right.
Grandfather, Baseball cap insignia faded. Gray sweater, no hood. Blue jeans worn from use. Granddaughter. Puffy pink jacket. Bouncy hair and crayons. Grandfather tells time. Granddaughter eats her fries. Finish your food. At 1, we'll go to the park. By 2, we'll be on our way to your mom's. Grandfather tells time. Gray hairs cross his watch. Their time is short. They'll have to drop her off. Grandfather folds his arms. Son is doing time. He misses this time. So quickly she grows. Grandfather takes time for granddaughter. Maple leaves and wind. Granddaughter never wants their afternoon walks, her evening bike rides to end. Sometimes grandfather tries to tell her about son, about his time. She never listens. She hums and rides on. Says, watch me. So grandfather does. Son never got enough time from grandfather. So much pain before he left. Grandfather was quiet during the arraignment, hugged grandmother as son was taken. It all seemed to last so long. In the fast food restaurant, grandfather wonders why it was not enough to provide, to wake up each dark morning and work for his family, as great-grandfather had done. Great-grandfather sleep in silence in the evening, the silence of the open field, within the cacophony of the work site. Son never understood that food was love, that working for your family was enough, wasn't it? Grandfather wishes he had more time to think about it. Granddaughter's fries are done. So grandfather tells time to go to the park before I take you to your mom's. Granddaughter wants to stay, motions over at some noisy kids, a collection of brightly colored plastic balls, says she wants to play. So grandfather lets her. Granddaughter jumps in, makes quick friends, tells them all to grab a bunch of balls and throw them into the air, like an explosion, like fireworks, like a scattered pile of leaves. Grandfather doesn't like this place. He feels out of place and contained, but he sits there in that plastic and metal chair. He takes time. He makes time, looks at the sleeve, then pulls his sweater sleeve over his watch.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
No, really, it's I almost cried. It's just, oh, and it's not because I'm emo. That is a gorgeous piece.
That's one of my favorite things that I've ever written. It's not very showy, but it's very true. It's very emotional. It's inspired by memories of my niece, of my father, my niece's time with my father, and my cousins, and going through their struggle with their kids and their parents and their time, and reflecting just even how close that I came to dealing with a life not too dissimilar with that, when I was on a path of alcoholism and self-destruction, and I've been about 8 years sober now. But yeah, thinking about that, if I had continued on that I could have been living a very, very sad life. That's a kind of like the poignancy. I think all of us can relate to these,
absolutely,
relationships. Yeah,
definitely.
Wanting more time.
Yeah, for sure. Does anybody? Oh, actually, somebody did ask a question in chat. Thank you, my student, A+ student, because I forgot. Where can they find you on your socials? Where can people follow you? And if you would post that link again, I'm gonna get a signed copy. You haven't sent me a signed copy, David. Neither has Matt, for that matter. But look.
Oh my God.
Yeah, miren, para que miren, yo sí compro. And I buy for my friends too, dudes, just so you know. Thank you, davidromero.com. You heard me? I'm gonna buy one for Bernadette of each. I really highly recommend. Think about it. This is like 2 coffee cups from Starbucks, a drink at the bar. If you go to the bar these days, it's worth it. It's worth the coin. I have these on my desk. No, I'm not kidding. They're always on my desk. So when I need a I'm not.
It's a party.
Both of yours, not one. Both of yours.
Yeah, so you can find my website, davidaromero.com, Twitter at davidaromero84, Instagram at davidaromero spoken word. And I think that's, I'm also on Facebook, which is actually my primary social media because I'm old and that's how it works. Yes.
Yeah.
And Matt?
I like David, and I'm somehow I'm too old for Instagram, but I do have an Instagram account, so I don't really. But don't really know how to use it, or I kind of know how to use it. I'm both somehow too old and too young for Twitter. Yeah, it's a paradox. I'm born in that like little window of time where people don't know how to, don't know how to use it well. But I have a Twitter. It's my name backwards for some reason, Sedillo Matt. And then Facebook is my primary thing, but I'm always maxing out of friends. So let's see. Yeah, those are the ways you can follow me. I mean, yeah.
And then you have I mean, I always watch your YouTube videos too. So I recommend YouTube. I mean, I know I feel like I'm a stalker, but I do watch your
But if you want to get a hold of me, the best way to get a hold of me is just go to the website and email me from there. So just go to mattsedillo.com.
Okay, Matt. I bet. Let me see if tell me if
that goes right to my email, and I check that every day.
And yo, Matt never sleeps. I don't know about you, David. I think but they're
I sleep.
You should, mijo. That's okay. It's not
I sleep the sleep of the dearly departed.
Me too. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. No, pero they're really responsive. And not arrogant, not like some writers that are like, I don't have time for you if you're not going to pay me. Absolutely not. Two of the most humble, amazing, wonderful, comradely poets you'll ever meet. And I've been singing praise. Your ears must have been ringing all the way because I'm like, oh my gosh, 2 Latinx poets, Pushcart Prize nominees, and just so amazing. But it's your community work that I really admire. Yeah. And your revolutionary work that is so amazing.
I mean, well, I really appreciate you, Asu, because like you're calling us humble, and I told everyone I was the best political poet in America. And if you look behind David, you'll see posters, right? You'll see posters, and guess what those posters are of?
You know what? I really this character assassination. I brought it up. Once, and I'll bring it up before. Is that it's not that Matt doesn't possess the same in his own humble abode, right? It's just that he lacks the will, the wherewithal to frame and the hang his posters. I do not. I have a ladder, a hammer, and nails.
And the frames. Tell us about that, Matt. That's beautiful. I love that one.
Oh well. So yes, so I really, yes. Thank you so much. Yes, and to anyone who hasn't joined the excellent writers group, Penned in the City.
Oh, thank you. I forgot. Yeah.
Join that. Check out Dr. Estrada's press, Barrio Blues. Collection Unity just came out. Magical Realism.
Number one on Amazon. Let me actually post that. God, you're better than I am. I would have never thought to pitch that. Bless you.
Oh, no.
Anybody else? Okay, Lizette says the fact that they're both Latinos es un orgullo. Aw. Thank you.
We love to see that.
Yes, and brag about it. Does anybody else have questions? We got a good 4 minutes. Y'all know I signed on to my first poet, right? I'm so proud of that too. I'm like, woohoo. Okay. Anybody else?
Hi, y'all. I do have a question. First and foremost, thank you so much for speaking, for bringing so much laughter to my day. This was really great. So my name is Kim. I'm also a spoken word poet, and I'm kind of in a position where I'm trying to decide between like self-publishing and working with a publisher. I'm wondering what was y'all's process in deciding that in terms of becoming creating financial stability through your artwork? I'm kind of interested in that side of things.
That is an excellent question. I think they can definitely speak to that.
Okay, well, it depends what your goal is, right? So if you're gonna try and get like speaking on like college circuit or something like that, what you need to do is like try and to get colleges. I mean, just honestly, it takes college to get colleges. If you're trying to get something like you're trying to get your book out there and trying to get your name bigger, then like you definitely should go with a press, even a small press, because then it's easier to get people to write about you than if you're self-published. Even if it's a small independent press, it's easier to get articles written about you if it's not just you self-publishing. And so that's that. So it really kind of depends on your goal. But if you're really just, if you have a following, if you got a big following, you're just looking to turn around and make a quick buck, make a, you know, just keep the lights on and do whatever, then maybe self-publishing might be the best way, because then you're not splitting your money with anybody. And if you know out the gates you're going to sell a couple hundred copies, you don't need anybody's help to sell a couple hundred copies, then that would be the best way to make money off the book itself. But it depends what your goals are with the book, because if your goal is to get a bigger name to make bigger money, then you got to go with the press.
Yes. David?
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal question, or series of questions, and really crux point. So I could actually really speak to that. Is that my first 3 books that I ever put out were self-published. Self-published books, and what I did is that I got it to be in cooperation with Dim Lights Publishing. So that was a small publishing house locally, based out of an open mic venue. So that gave me the push of a brand, the identity with that, to, you know, cross promotional opportunities to promote my book through the venue. But still self-published and put together. And the benefits of self-publishing, especially if you use an on-demand service like Lulu, is that you can print on demand. So that gives you the flexibility to print as few or as many as you require. So the more books you buy, the cheaper they are per unit. The fewer, the more expensive. But yeah, that flexibility is great. Like if you know you have a show coming up, you buy, 10, 20, however many, your initial run, maybe you'll buy 50 or so. It's really great. And then also online, they profit share online. Lulu, for example, does that, which is really, really great. Through Matt, I was able to get the opportunity to then publish with Flower Song. And as Matt noted, a larger publisher is really great in terms of getting press. Edward Vidoir, our publisher, actually has helped us get press, has helped us organize promotional materials, send out press releases and all of that, distribute through social media and various networks. So a lot of that is what you're looking for. Also, on a practical standpoint, or another standpoint aside from that, that Matt kind of also touched upon was, I would encourage, like, for example, I have a new manuscript and I'm in the process of thinking about where I might want to get that published. I'm thinking about trying a different publisher this time, just to see if maybe I could get, a different feel, a different look. With that will come a large downtime. I think that's something to consider, is that the process of getting published, of submitting manuscripts formally. Now, there are all kinds of great ways to scheme out there, getting to know people and maneuver and do all of this great stuff. But if you are going to do it the super traditional formal way, it could take months to years to find out whether or not your manuscript is going to get published. And that's cool if you have a job, that you're okay with, like, okay, I'm going to sit it out, I'm going to wait, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to do things right. But if you are in a hurry, self-publishing or working your connections is definitely going to be a better way to go. And as far as making money, your merchandise sales at performances are going to be big, but a lot of what you're going to want to do is get money, outright, right? So agreed upon, contracted. You might want to draw up a contract. You might want to first start locally, contacting local schools. You could even record a video demonstrating that you can do, especially right now, that you can do virtual performances. So record a video of yourself, put it up on YouTube, say that you are currently available to do performances, maybe perform some poems and what have you, and start emailing that out to student groups, whatever, spoken word performance groups, theater groups, English clubs, Latinx clubs, campus programming boards, associated student government, things of that nature, campus life. So there are all those various resources that you can tap in order to, start to build a career for yourself.
Right. So I want to add about the colleges is that what you really want to do is like, again, it takes money to make money. It takes publications to get published. It takes colleges to book colleges. So what you really want to do is kind of work whatever close networks you have, and then try and get just a performance on campuses. And then once you have like maybe like 5 to 10, then you can really start aggressively marketing to places that don't know you, right? But you have to have that kind of established proof of concept, and nobody needs to know what you got paid in any of these places.
Nope.
So you can get paid $100, you can get paid $50, you can get paid, a sandwich. It does not matter as long as you're not outright lying. Just say you appeared at these 6, 7 colleges, and I want to appear at your college, and the price of me appearing is $1,500. Period. Right? If they will look at that and be like, yes or no, right? Or 500 or 700 or whatever you think that the club you're hitting up actually has to pay for this kind of thing, right? I mean, like, the truth of the matter is, in the college game, it's fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's all kinds of things, man. You could be doing something for like $300. You could be doing somewhere. I just booked Ventura College for $3,000 to do a Zoom for an hour. Like that kind of, it just, it's all up in the air. It's all your resume. It's all whatever. So it's just kind of like what the school has, what they're looking to do. It's all over the place. The pricing is all over the place. It's not like a book, right? Like one day the book's $15 and the next day the book is $2,000. Like that doesn't happen, right? But with your performances, it is kind of that way. So, but in order to get those big checks, right? It's easy for me to get 3K, or it's not easy, but it's possible for me to get 3K because I've done over 100 campuses, or I've done nearly 100 campuses. I'm like either like it's somewhere between 95 and 103. I forget, but like it's around 100. So I've done about 100 campuses, so it's easy. It's possible for me to get 3K on an okay basis, like a couple times a year. So like that, but it's weird for me to get it in COVID actually on a Zoom, but hopefully that'll become more normal. But yeah, what you need is proof of concept. I say all this to say what you need is proof of concept for university, and for publications the same way. So David wants to go off and get published by a larger publisher than Flower Song. It's easier now because he's been published by Flower Song, right? So
Yep.
Whatever you do, you got to you got to look at things as incremental levels. Me, I'm sticking with Flower Song because what David said, if I try to go with Beacon, if I try to go with City Lights, if I try to go whatever, they're going to make me dance. They're going to want to do a dance with me. Flower Song, I know I got the easy go, right? I want this out by this time. I want this. I want that. It gets done. And I can do that because I'm their bestseller, right? So that kind of like makes it possible. So everything is just like you gotta think about the things you do in life is not as a trophy, but as a tool. It's not a trophy to put on your mantle. It's a hammer that's now in your kit, right? So if you get some colleges, that's not just to feel good about yourself. I got the colleges. I can get more colleges. I got published by a small press. I can get published by a bigger press. I got published as a bigger press. I can get published by Penguin. Shit, right? So you got to think in terms of those levels. Like to get to step 3, I'm at step 1. I got to get step 2. Then I get step 3. But just because you're at step 1 now does not mean you can't get to step 20. And what is step 20? Well, step 20 is immortality, right? That's Dostoevsky. That's Shakespeare. That's Lee Poe. That's Rumi or something like that. You can get there, but you can't get there from step 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And just sure. Well, I mean, those are such inspirational words. I'm going to say something so basic in contrast, but if you have friends or you yourself have talents in photography, graphic design, marketing, filmmaking, film editing, camera to record your performances with, just all of those basic things, maybe recording, devices for audio and what have you in order to put your work up on streaming platforms. All of those skills help. And if you don't have them, find someone who does. Trade favors, pay, shell out the money, but not too much. Really,
not too much.
It's not worth it. A lot of time and effort is very often wasted into dusty trails as far as that goes. But it really will do wonders for your career is having audio, video, pictures, graphics, a website. Web design is definitely a great skill to pick up if you haven't. So yeah.
But even if you go, because I'm a hybrid, I have non-traditional and traditional publications, you're still going to have to hustle these days. It's a good idea to have all those tools that David's talking about. And the reader base is so important. I've seen some phenomenal writers. The next book tanked. You don't quit. You keep going. And I think it takes time too. You can't get to your 10,000 followers in a year or 2 years. You have to work for it. Same thing for Twitter. I have like 4,000 followers, but do they buy my books? I don't know. I'm like, can't stop it. But Matt, I would say probably can do independent press because he's got a lot of followers. David, I don't know about you. I just know Matt longer. And control is also a thing too. I don't want to be told what my cover is going to look like. I'd rather just design it myself. You know what I'm saying? Or get a designer to do it for me. I just can't. I realize now that I'm a control freak. I want the book how I want the book. And I don't want people messing with my you know what I'm saying? I'm like, fuck you, don't touch my periods. I was like, leave them where they're at. I don't know, But I think, David, I wish you the best of luck, hermano. I hope you get an agent, a good contract, and your check in advance because boys are so underappreciated in this country. That's another thing. It's a niche market. It's not like being in France or another country where they appreciate their poets, But what you guys are doing is so amazing. Look at all these accolades. People they're messaging me privately about how amazing you are. Both of you. So that's
let it not go unsaid here and now that Matt is bona fide in so many ways and has an agent and is on the cusp of releasing a novel. So from poet to novelist. Yes. Bona fide.
Right. And you can do to it, and everyone can do it too. True. And but the thing is that you have to just embrace this concept of being at a certain level. And then just because you're at this level doesn't mean you can't get to that level, which doesn't mean you can't get to that level, which doesn't mean you can't get to that level. And once you get to that level, don't be satisfied, right? Because I'm about to be able to write a novel. Hopefully it does really well. If it does extremely well, I'll be at a different level than I was before. But that's not my end goal. My end goal is to be talked about for centuries. My end goal is to be one of the best people to ever do this. Period. Period. Not like the best of a generation, period. And so that's my goal. If I fail, if I succeed, well, at least I lived as I believed.
All right, Matt, David, this has been the most amazing live stream. Anybody else have anything else? Oh my gosh, she says y'all are wonderful. What's that? Tlatsokamati. Thank you for y'all's time. Beautiful. Yes, beautiful. Please. The best thing you can do to support is not just to buy the book, but to give them favorable 5-star reviews on Amazon, Goodreads, BookBub, you name it.
A 4.
What?
Somebody gave me a 4 on Goodreads. It's part of my whole 5 ranking.
It's madre, man. I gave you 5. I would have given, like I said, I would have given you 10 if I would have. Hater.
Oh my God.
But that is the best that you can do. So support. Yeah, definitely. David's laughing at you. Cabrón, I hate that. Okay. Peace. Thank you, comrades. I hope you guys, this is your home. Yeah. I hope to see you next semester. God willing.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Yes, I would love to.
Absolutely. Hey, let's unmute and give him a huge round of applause. Let's do this. Woo! Thank you. A real applause, not virtual. Oh my gosh. Guys, may you be safe and continue to produce these amazing works. I wish you every success. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, students. Viewers. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, that's the last class, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna stick around and how do I unstream? Okay. Oh, I don't know how to